Hello, and welcome to another battle report from Santa Barbara Wargaming. I'm Paul, and today I'm playing a 35-point game against Taylor's Skorne. He rolled to go first, and I chose the side. He is bringing a Emicata list with the Kreia, a Titan Gladiator, Malakarn, Beast Handlers, Citrati, and the Tyrant Commander. I believe that's the name of the little unit in the back there. Today we are playing Overrun, and I brought 35 points of Menoth. I got the Judicator recently, and I've been trying him out at 35 points. I thought as a good choice to bring the Judicator with was E. Severus. He has a decent Warjack bond, allowing the Judicator to be allocated for focus, which is excellent. Since the Judicator gets 1 for free, you can allocate him 3 more, giving him the opportunity to boost multiple times, especially with his availability to blast models multiple times. So I like to try it out. Normally people suggest bringing E. Fiora to have things light on fire, and I see that as an obvious choice, but I wanted to try something different. So for 35 points, I brought the Judicator, E. Severus, the Blessing of Vengeance, Choir, the Hierophant, and a full unit of Knights Errants with the unit attachment. It's a nice little 35-point package. Everything fits in nicely. You've got the Errants, which are a very good 10-point investment. Normally they're kind of an auto-include, and I agree that they have a lot of benefits, and they are kind of a crutch in some way. But in such a small list, you really need a very point-efficient tar pit, and they offer this very well with some decent output. So although they are a crutch, I think they actually perform really well in this list for the role in which they're used for. The Blessing of Vengeance is a obvious choice with E. Severus with the +2 damage on the affinity. I've been playing it in the way that Severus's ranged weapon also gets the +2 damage. I need to look that up, but I just wanted to make you aware that I am applying the +2 damage on the ranged weapon. It's channeled, so I think that would make it count as a spell. It's a little wonky, but again, that's what I chose to do. The Hierophant is good in this list. It allows Severus to spell sling a little bit better, especially since he's allocating a decent amount of focus each turn, especially the Judicator. So, wanted to get in there. You could choose to take the Vassal instead if you wanted a little bit more ranged output out of the Judicator. Choir is an obvious choice, and that's it for my 35 points. So, Taylor decided to go first. He's new to the Skorne faction. This is probably the 3rd or 4th game we've played. He's been trying out Emicata, if you've he's trying to see what he can do with them. I believe the last incarnation he brought Swordsman and the Agonizer. He switched those out for the Citrati, the Tyrant Commander, and the Kreia, bringing Malakarn and Titan as an obvious choice, giving the Fatewalker Animist and the Rush Animist Beastmaster or Beast Handlers are a pretty obvious choice in this list. Tyrant Commander, I believe, is to give press forward to the Citrati, giving them a decent advance while still engaged in shield wall. So he advanced up pretty steadily. Got the Citrati out front, getting Malakarn up there pretty reasonably, and making a decent full advance. I did the same. I decided that there was no use doing anything but running forward. I had the Errants. I wanted to keep them out of advance or charge range of the Citrati. So I swung them over just a little bit to the right, using their available Pathfinder to kind of negate the forest. I ended up putting Holy Ward on them. Going up to defense 14 is a nice little bonus. I had some extra focus, especially at the first turn, and so if there were going to be some shots, it might as well be worth putting a little extra buff out onto them. The Judicator and the Blessing both ran, and the E. Severus, he cast Holy Ward through the Arc node and charged forward, and everyone else ran. Pretty simple for my first turn. For Taylor's second turn, I decided to take a more defensive approach, although I think it kind of, I believe it's kind of an ill mistake, especially against a more ranged heavy army. You really need to send those models forward and really start to pressure the ranged list and actually start engaging me and forcing me into a melee-oriented battle. But that didn't happen, so we'll go down the path where he took a little more defensive approach. He lined up the Satrati in a nice little shield line. It looks pretty, but I'm not sure quite why that was necessary. Malakarn's over into the left there, hiding in the forest. I guess that's good for a little defensive buff. Over there in the back there, you can see that Imakeda is hiding behind a Kreia, and the Titan Gladiator is kind of babysitting next to him. Behind those is the support staff, just kind of hanging out. Again, nothing very defensive, kind of turtling position. Again, the scenario we played was overrun, and so kind of getting more in the center of the board, it would have been better for him to get up a few more inches, maybe 6 or 7 inches, and if he's choosing to make more flanking approach, then being more forward would be a good option. So, in retaliation for that, I don't have a picture of exactly what happened on his side of the field because it really happened on this side. But anyways, I took the approach that I wanted to catch the Satrati in my feet, and I don't think Taylor was very much aware of what my feet was able to do. And so with my large 16-inch control area, I had my caster advance forward. He then caught 5 of the Satrati in his feet. I rolled a 4, I believe, giving me D3 plus 2. So 5 of the Satrati. There's 6 units, or 6 or 5 grunts. So I took almost the whole unit. I had 2 Satrati attack the Kreia. I rolled decently well, killing the Kreia. And then I had 2 onto Malakarn and 1 onto the leader. I then had the Errants advance up, doing some plinking damage. I don't think I did very much. I then had, I believe I casted, no, since the Satrati were taken out by some of the first attacks from the Judicator, I allocated 4 to the Judicator or 3 to the Judicator with 1 free one, and then doing that I was able to take out I think 2 or 3 of the Satrati, and I was able to take out I believe that I was trying to aim for Imakeda now that the Kreia was gone. So I don't have any pictures of his side of the table, but with the Satrati turning around and taking whacks at his front line, that was kind of tilting for him. I had the Errants advance up, trying to get in range of hitting the Satrati now that they weren't in shield line anymore, because I had broken them apart. I had the Blessing advance behind, and the Choir sung battle. The Hierophant just kind of sat in the back there. So you can see that 3 of the Satrati have been taken out by my last turn. He gave press forward to the Satrati, cast Road to War, pretty straightforward, and advanced the Satrati in, leaving the rest of the models to rest of his back line to take, again, more of a bunkering defensive position, kind of relying on the Satrati to hold down the scenario. Obviously, they're going to be taken out through retaliation, since they're very much the only target that is near me. And so we'll see what happens. Okay, so obviously the Satrati were taken out. I took a more spell-slinging approach to attack the Citrati. I had the Blessing of Vengeance advance up. I then arced my Admonisher ranged attack through the Blessing of Vengeance onto one of the far Citrati. I was POW 12 and I boosted damage on 2 of them. This was able to do some decent amount of damage to them, but I don't think I was able to kill them. I then cast Influence twice on the 2 non-engaging Citrati, and I was able to have them kill one, but I think he chose to last stand the last one, which was sort of a bummer. I then had, I don't know, I think I killed 2, and there was 1 left. I committed the errants to the last Citrati, and Imakeda last standed the Citrati, so he's hanging out there. I then had the errants, they then attacked the Tyrant, and I think that was it. They did some shots, but POW 10s don't do well against POW 16s, or Armor 16. So that was that. I then had the Colossal advance. I took some shots and deviated. I wanted to take some shots at Imakeda, but I wasn't able to take out the Beast Handlers, and I wanted to try to get some direct shots onto her at range 14. I was only Rat 3. The Colossal is Rat 5, plus 2 for the Choir, minus 4 for inaccurate. So those missiles, they do pack a punch at POW 16 with the Choir buff. They usually always deviate. But the deviations does help to take out the Beast Handlers. I was to take out all of them with blast damage and do some decent, a little bit of damage to Imakeda with some boosted damage rolls. Beyond that, that was my 3rd turn. Obviously, the Colossal is very much out in the open now with a very open front. I've got Molokarn and the Titan Gladiator out front, and Imakeda is just waiting to kind of make an attack. Okay, so obviously, as I alluded to the last turn, it took Molokarn and a Titan Gladiator and the Tyrant Commander to take out the Judicator at base arm 19. So, and he had some very good rolls. I had 60 boxes on the Judicator, and the Tyrant Commander charged in afterwards and took out the Judicator. I was able to, with the Warjack Bond, I was camping 1 focus. I decided to use that on Molokarn's charge damage roll. I felt like that would be the best. The Titan Gladiator rolled really well, having a few boxcars in there. Even at dice -3, there were some good damage rolls. So the Titan Gladiator was able to roll 8 over my arm, and I only had 7 boxes left, wrecking the Judicator. So leaves me, I was hoping for a few boxes left to allocate some focus and retaliate, taking down some of his, taking out one of his war beasts, or maybe doing some decent damage. But the Judicator wasn't able to tank that amount of output. So this left me with a very hard choice. I don't really have any heavy hitters any left, and my caster is very squishy. So I really needed to go for the attack and take out Imakeda. Both of his beasts are fully full up, and she chose full up, and so she has no transfer targets. So with no transfer targets, I knew that I needed to make I needed to take some more ranged approach. I got the errants in there. I had 3 of the errants commit to the Tyrant Commander, but with Imakeda's last Fury, she last standed him on my last attack, and so he was still standing. I then had the other errants try to make some attacks. Rat 6 against defense 17 in the forest. I was unable to hit her with any errants. I then had the Blessing of Vengeance advance up and took a free strike from the Tyrant Commander because I knew I need to get into range. And he rolled, I think, 10 damage, but he rolled column 4 for the damage roll, and it didn't take out my Arc Node, which was really sweet, which I really needed. If it was column 3, I would have lost my Arc Node, and the game would have gone very differently. But I had the Blessing of Vengeance run up. I was now not engaged because I took a free strike, and I proceeded to have, I had 7 Fear Focus on my caster. I got the Hierophant's Harmonious Exaltation, effectively 8 focus. I had the, I cast, or I arced my ranged spell, or ranged attack, at the Standard Bearer that was standing in front of Imikata, and I cranked the damage roll, or I hit that model because it was I think it was defense 12, negating my necessity to directly hit Imikata. I then bounced Admonisher onto Mikata. I rolled 11, I think I rolled 11 on the dice, which effectively killed the Standard Bearer, and then I boosted damage onto Imikata, and I did a few points of damage to her. Not enough to kill her. I think it was a decent roll. I then paid 2 to cast Hex Blast against her. She was defense 17 in the forest. I needed effectively a 9 because I am 8. And I rolled, I boosted to hit, and I boosted damage, and I think that took her out then. So, obviously a very tough game. She was forced to commit to the Judicator, and I was able to spell sling her after all those resources spent on killing and taking out the Judicator. So obviously it was an interesting battle. I was very range heavy. He was a very melee-oriented army. I felt like if he committed his heavy war beast a little sooner, and then had the Citrati spend more time tanking and tarp hitting the errants, he would have had the upper hand. My Judicator would have spent less rounds making ranged attacks down the field. And although the feat was pretty decisive taking out the Citrati, if they were a little bit more tangled, I think it would have been less of a loss, especially maybe not losing the Kreia and maybe having his beasts a little bit more forward. So that one turn where he lined up in more of a defensive position, I feel like he could have spent a little bit more field space and moved up. Although, again, the feat is a very hard counter to the Citrati, but the Judicator, I really like putting the Judicator in the field. I think it's a great model. I think it has a lot of benefits. It is quite unwieldy at 35 points. There's not a lot left in your army to handle defeat of the Judicator. And range 14, POW 16, Rat 3 is a very inconsistent stat line for the main range guns, but a lot underestimate the Rat 7, POW 14, 2 spray 8s that can also end up ending a caster's reign. And so the free focus is definitely useful. It adds to our focus efficiency and keeps the Jack a little bit more independent of the caster. I like Severus with the Judicator, and I'm looking forward to trying the Judicator out in a lot more of the other lists. I am going to try to stay away from Fiora as a option because I know that she offers the speed buff as well as the fire bonus, but I do want to explore more into the faction beyond Fiora. Again, thank you for watching, and I appreciate any comments. Have a good night.